where you sit in the stadium, it doesn't cover the face value of one if you bought two of these packages. So you could have 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas to the Swamp for the price of just your ticket, not the seat license, not the hot dogs, not the artisanal pretzels. One ticket here.
The pretzels.
The Beekman. But I wanted to, and Kenny, I know you're an SEC honk. Were you surprised by this when I put this on the show sheet?
As much crap as I would like to give that school, I was very surprised. It blew me away. Because you think about it as a power school like that, and we've had some battles with them as a Georgia fan, but
2 tickets.
2 tickets.
2 hot dogs.
And we're talking hot dogs and drinks.
2 pops.
Right.
$59.
Could you imagine if one of our schools did something like that?
The closest we came was the Dave Brandon experience. And it was either the end of Rich Rod or end of Hoke. I forget.
It was, I believe it was Hoke.
You buy a Coca-Cola, you got a ticket, basically. That's how it worked with U of M. But here's my question, Rico. We've talked about how the at-home experience is truly, it's as good as it's ever been. It's better than it's ever been. For you guys out there, like I used to go to every game. And then I would go to a couple road games. I couldn't imagine my life without it. And then you get a little less forgiving of the game day experience and the drive and the pricing and the extortion for tailgating and the rest. And for me, you just make a decision, I'm done. But for many people, and I'm thinking about University of Michigan fans, this non-conference. I mean, they're playing 3 teams. They will be favored by 30 points or more. Nobody wants to go to these games.
30?
Well, it's going to be 30 against Colorado State. I have to be honest. I was doing some prep for Cash the Ticket. Utah State is hosting UConn, which is Michigan's third opponent. Utah State's laying 28 to UConn.
Yeah.
What's Michigan laying, 50?
I'm thinking I think it'll be too insulting, but you're going to say 38.5.
I'll take Michigan. My question is, college football, look, it's no secret. Spartan Stadium, they have a hard time selling out those upper deck, upper corner tickets. 15 years ago, they didn't. But they do now. At Michigan, I know you cannot possibly bear to have your streak end, but it ended a long time ago. And the reality is...
kind of like that Piston streak.
Right. Look, Michigan still does a hell of a good job putting 95 or 100 in there, and certainly on big days you do sell it out. But it's not as robust as it used to be. There's not some waiting list. So here's my question. Is this Florida ticket deal at Costco a sign of the times, a sign of where we're headed, or do you think this is kind of a one-off? Now, what I would argue is Florida, it is good weather. It's never going to be cold. Now, it's going to be humid. There's no doubt. But you live in Florida, your blood thins out, you figure it out. It's a new coach. There should be a little buzz around the program. They're not terrible. Dan Mullen wasn't fired because they were terrible. He was fired because they didn't win the SEC East.
Right.
So my question is just sign of the times, or is this a blip on the radar? 248-539-9797. Rico, go ahead.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is a sign of the times that people have other options. I mean, my goodness, you're looking at a $7 billion TV deal, and they make watching the game an experience on TV where you question whether you actually want to go to the stadium because you're going to lose some aspects. Believe it or not, you have less at the stadium because you don't have the instant replay. You don't have the first down line. You don't have
a bathroom.
Everything that they're talking about. So I can understand that. But I think Florida, and it reminds me a lot of Michigan, their standards are so high that when it's a bad product, they're not going to support it. And when Michigan was going through that 7-year period where they were just god-awful to mediocre, fans were like, well, I don't want to – I'm used to seeing championships. I'm used to seeing teams that win the Big Ten, not teams that barely crack 500. What am I doing here? I'm not going to get rid of my season tickets, but I'm sure as hell not going to the game. So I'll just sell these on the open market, except for you weren't getting anything on the open market. So you saw Michigan selling them for Coke cans. You're seeing Florida do this, that when blue blood programs go down, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if one day we find out like Tennessee does this type of thing.
Well, Tennessee's had major attendance problems. So I'm appealing to, if you're a Michigan fan, you may have bought the tickets, but, are you skipping some of these non-conference games? For Michigan State fans, it's already obvious. I have said for years, and people get very upset with me, MSU should have a 62 or 65,000 seat stadium. They should put in seats. The days of 76, 78, or 80 are largely over. And make it comfortable.
Mike, you may have been ahead of your time here because I don't know if you got I think it was last week or when I was on vacation, MSU sent out
The survey.
Yeah. If you read between the lines on the survey, there were a couple things. One, asking about gambling. And, how would you feel about gambling in Spartan Stadium? The other was about, I guess, permanent seat packs, which means seats, which tells me that thing may contract because in order to put the permanent seats in, you're not going to get the same amount of people you get on the bench.
That's right.
So you could see 75,000 shrink down to 68,000 or something like that. So I don't think you're that far off.
No, and it's just a principle of, look, I don't even want to go back to when I was in school. I'm talking even mid-2000s. MSU, pre-D'Antonio, they weren't good. No. But they were selling out. It took a lot. It took John L. to be a dead man walking against Minnesota in the rain where the upper deck started to get empty. Now, look, team can be pretty good, and there's plenty of seats to be had.
But it kind of goes to what I'm saying. Once you taste greatness, it's hard to accept anything less.
Correct.
So when Michigan State wasn't good, it was just a place to go. It was a
social
party. It was fun.
Right.
It was social. It's hanging out with my tailgate peeps.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the team got good, and now you're seeing them beat Oregon at home. You're seeing all types of things that when they're iffy, I don't know if this team's going to be as good or not. I mean, I think that especially based on how the prognosticators have, you're probably going to see the same thing there this season because it's like, well, I don't know how good they're going to be. Ohio State, I think, will sell out because Buckeye fans will buy up every ticket that you don't want.
Well, they're kind of insulated. But again, the deal we're talking about, University of Florida, at the Swamp, you can get 2 tickets, 2 hot dogs, 2 sodas, $59. Costco. I was shocked by it. South Carolina's doing something similar. That's also pretty surprising. I just want to know whether this is kind of where it's going. Or these are just blips on the radar. These are affected programs. This is just kind of a do-what-you-got-to-do thing. But I'll be honest. I'll be surprised if you don't see a lot of empty seats during the Michigan non-conference. I mean, the games are atrocious. You can't justify the gas money.
I don't.
Michigan State against Akron, empty seats will be everywhere. 4 in the afternoon against the Zips? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
At 4?
Yeah. Oh. Rico really dialed in for that one.
Right.
Joe Moorhead's fighting Zippies.
Right. I think the Michigan people will show up for the first quarter because I think they'll treat it like a spring game. Something
maybe
to do.
Hawaii because it's night.
Yeah.
Maybe. Goulet. UConn, nobody will be there.
No.
You can't justify it.
But by halftime, and in all 3 of those games, if you're in the upper deck, just go ahead and walk down to the field. They may ask you to play.
They'll hand you a helmet. Right. UConn, that is.
Right.
You may get in the D-tackle rotation.
But son, what are you, about a 7/8? Okay, here you go.
But and look, I've always, even when I went to the games, a lot of times for me, it was about obligation. It was about, people depending on you, and you had a relationship with people where you went, this is what you did. But man, Rico, if I was really being honest with myself, I was ready to give it all up a few years prior. Once they had won the Rose Bowl in 2013, I was out. Mentally, I think I was out. Right. Now, they were great in 2014, great in 2015. I stayed a few years longer. But reality, I'm sitting home every Saturday. I watch games all day long. And I can't justify more than a game a year for that nostalgia factor. I wonder if people are trending that way. So I'd love to hear from you. I don't care who you're a fan of. It's when you used to go to games and you don't any longer. Maybe you're a diehard. You still do. But when you see a program like Florida having the problem they're having, Tennessee having massive problems with attendance, Florida State, and a buddy of mine who lives down there, he's an FSU grad, he is a donor. You know those canopies they have, that luxury club? He's in that. They're having horrendous
because here's
attendance
the thing.
problems.
Because the school is still charging you a ridiculous price, even though like the stadium's empty. So it's they're still acting as if Florida State just has Jameis Winston and won the national title.
Right.
It's very difficult.
Look at USC, Coliseum, half empty.
Listen to the teams that you're naming off. You're not saying, Memphis and Tulsa and Rice, because they'll show up because this is what we do on Saturdays. And we'll watch the game. We'll cross our fingers and hope that our team wins. But if they didn't, we had a good time.
Nothing says college football like the Liberty Bowl.
All right, but USC, Tennessee, Florida State.
Hey, how about
Miami.
our fellow Big Ten member UCLA? Do me a solid. Go out to the Rose Bowl against a nondescript opponent and tell me what you see. It's about 35,000 people.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration.
Oh, dude, I like Miami. I mean, I remember that was a house of horrors. You went to Miami? That was it. You were dead. I mean, they literally raised your tombstone saying you're going to lose this game. We'll put the score up later.
MSU fans took that place over last
year.
Did. That's embarrassing. Hey, is this thing on? Or do you want to talk about sipping beers through a hot dog? 248-539-9797. Now, I don't know what the hell what's going on here. Let's talk a little football. Let's talk a little attendance. Let's talk about Florida's tickets at Costco. Otherwise, I'm going to have Kenny rank out his top 10 favorite rums with music as a backdrop.